Welcome, everybody on the panel and those joining us from around the globe for Global Student Chat. Wow, we've been saying that phrase a lot over the past 8 years. Let's have a look.
Okay, and we are live. Welcome everyone to our first ever YouTube live event and tweet and talk for On Ed Student Chat.
Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us around Ontario for our second YouTube live event. Good morning everybody. Welcome to everyone on panel and to those joining us around Ontario for our fourth YouTube live event.
Welcome everyone, and thank you to those of you who have joined us on panel today. Welcome everyone to On Ed Student Chat. We are here today to talk about Earth Day. I'd like to welcome everyone on panel and those joining us around Ontario. Welcome to our final On Ed Student Chat for the 2017 and 2018 school year. Welcome to our first On Ed Student Chat of 2018. We are so excited to have such a full house today on panel, and we are really excited to welcome all of the classes who are watching and who will be tweeting along today. Today throughout Ontario for our November On Ed Student Chat. Welcome to On Ed Student Chat in December 2018.
Okay, welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us around Ontario for our January On Ed Student Chat.
Welcome to On Ed Student Chat.
And hello everyone, welcome to the On Ed Student Chat.
Welcome to On Ed Student Chat. Good morning and welcome everyone on panel and those who are joining us today throughout Ontario for our final On Ed Student Chat of the 2018-2019 school year.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Global Ed Student Chat for January, our first chat of 2020. I would like to welcome everyone here on the panel and to those joining us around the globe on YouTube Live or on Twitter.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our Global Ed Student Chat for February of 2020.
Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us from around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat, formerly On Ed Student Chat.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our Global Ed Student Chat. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Global Ed Student Chat, the last chat of the 2019-2020 school year. I don't know that any of us would have predicted that when we started in October that we would be joining not from our schools but from our own homes. The world certainly has changed. And so I'm very excited that today's topic is actually what is school.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Ed Student Chat for 2020-2021.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our panelists as well as classes around the globe who are joining us for the Global Ed Student Chat.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another Global Ed Student Chat. Hello everyone, and welcome to Global Ed Student Chat. Hey everyone, we're live. Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat.
Welcome everyone on panel and those joining us from around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat.
Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us from around the globe. Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us from around the globe for Global Ed SS Chats.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another Global Ed Student Chat. This is our first of the new school year, and we're super excited to have those joining us around the globe. Hello everyone, welcome to everyone on panel and those joining us around the globe for another Global Ed Student Chat. Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat. Hello everyone, welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat. All right, welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat.
Hello, and welcome to the Global Education Student Chat for our April Tweet and Talk.
Hello everyone, welcome to everyone on panel and those joining us around the globe for Global Ed Student Chat. Hello everyone, and welcome to Global Student Chat. Hello everyone, and welcome to those on panel and those joining us from around the globe for Global Student Chat.
Hello, welcome everyone on the panel and those joining us from around the globe for Global Student Chat.
Welcome everyone on the panel and those joining us from around the Global Student Chat.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sam, for creating that for us. That was truly special. Today's topic is another very special one, celebrating our global connections. It's a special one today because this is our last Global Student Chat, and this will be our final chat. Thus, we have brought back some of our past Global Student Chat members to celebrate with us and join in on today's discussion. I'm now going to pass it right over to Yuhan to discuss our final Tech Talk.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you may sign in with a Google account and use the chat to comment or ask a question. If you have X or Blue Sky, follow the hashtag Global Student Chat to read the ideas, thoughts, and questions shared by others. Use the hashtag Global Student Chat to add your thing and get involved in the conversation. And if you've joined us in the past, we would especially love to hear from you today. Feel free to share your first name and where in the world you're joining from today. If you ask questions, we will bring them to the panel. I will now hand it over to Namya to get us started with our first question.
Thank you so much, Yuhan. Well, hi everyone. I'm Namya and I became first a student leader back 3 years ago, and time flies. Well, you're joined today for our last Global Student Chat. Bittersweet, but let's begin with the first question. The first one is, how has being part of the Global Student Chat made you feel more connected to issues, cultures, or customs beyond your own community?
I don't mind taking this one on to start. Just to clarify, my name is Kabir Gupta. I'm at Cardinal Carter Catholic High School here in Ontario, Canada, and this is my second year on Global Student Chat. It's truly been a very fun and eye-opening journey. I would say that, my deepest part about Global Student Chat that I can really appreciate the most is the connectivity of it. I've definitely developed a deeper appreciation for different cultures and traditions around the world. It's not so much just the simple traditions and different cultures. It's more about the daily lifestyle that people have across the globe. For example, our friends in India and Dubai live a totally different life than we do. They're joining the meeting at 5 a.m. in the morning when we're joining at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It's just a night and day difference, and seeing that has really allowed me to connect with other people's cultures in a very deep way. I got to say that it's been amazing to talk to other youth who truly care about similar issues and genuinely hope for global excellence. This chat has definitely helped me see the importance of listening to voices outside of my own community as well. This forces me to see perspectives outside of my own little bubble, because we all kind of live in our own little bubble on our daily lives. And it allows me to see how one action can affect people differently across the globe.
Well, you just covered exactly what I was going to say, but I do agree with you. I didn't feel like I was just connecting with other cultures. It was like there was an illusion of separation which disappeared. We are usually taught to study differences, but through our conversations, I started noticing, rhymes between us, shared frustrations, mirrored values. Such, global issues stopped feeling distant and they became a bit more personal because I started associating them with my friends, with all of you. And I no longer saw various problems as my problem or your problem, but as our world. And it all started to fall in place and look like one interconnected story.
Wow. Like I totally feel the same because we've all been able to connect in one or the other way. And when we share different ideas, we learn to respect as well as, agree to disagree at the same time. And we've learned a lot with each other together. So since we've learned about each other, what have you learned about yourself by being part of these conversations and what have you gained from it?
I think I can get started on that one. But before that, for those who are joining in new, my name is Simar Mohanty, and I was a student leader of the Global Student Chat back when I was in 11th grade. And fast forward to today, I'm almost done with my first year of engineering. And being a part of these conversations has been a fantastic journey of personal growth. First of all, I was able to recognize multiple viewpoints, especially when you're connecting with people globally. There are people from diverse backgrounds who have different opinions, who have different experiences. And listening to each one of them has broadened my horizons, my understanding of different topics. And like Kabir mentioned earlier, that helps us to come out of echo chambers, something which is important to ensure, especially in this era of AI and social media. Another thing that I realized is that I used to always think, and I think a lot of my friends here too think, that leadership is all about using your voice. It's about expression and talking. But these chats actually taught me that it's just as much about reception and sharing my experiences openly, even if it was silly. It helped me to break down that invisible barrier of perfectionism that develops in leaders. And I learned that these connections, they often grow through cracks and not just polish. And most importantly, generally, whenever we study something in school, it's broken down into different subject slots, or in the longer run, if you're preparing for exam slots. But then in real life, you won't be asked questions in a numeric manner. There will be existing problems that you will have to solve, and you need to bring in your entire experience from kindergarten to your professional course to come together to question and to seek answers for these questions. And over here, I think the importance of platforms like Global Student Chat becomes prominent. That is, like back in when I was in Nigeria, yeah, through all those chaos, every month for those 30 minutes, sitting down with people, with students just like me around the world, to seek answers, to question for topics that matter, like digital citizenship, Gen Z, fast fashion, or banning books. I think I've learned a lot.
Well, I've learned that I have something meaningful to contribute and even more to learn. I wouldn't exactly say learned here, but maybe reinforced. And researching so many topics, hearing all of your perspectives, it definitely grew my general knowledge and also completely shifted how I think. Because I do feel this personally, I now approach problems with a bit more curiosity, openness, empathy, and My fellow student leaders, they challenged and inspired me constantly. And the mentorship that I've received from our educators, it's helped me grow into someone more confident, thoughtful, and well, ready to lead, even beyond this chat.
Truly, I believe that's how you both summed it up. Together, we learn a lot. And that's how we can, gain more collaboration skills and be able to express ourselves fully. At the same time, be able to accept other people's thoughts as well. Well, moving to our next question, what moment really changed the way you thought about something or stood out to you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam. I've been with the Global Student Chat since it was called Ontario Education Student Chat, which was 8 years ago. I'm now in university at University of Guelph studying computer science. One of the biggest moments, at least in the participating in the chat, was every time we had a planning meeting. It was always fun to try to come up with the topics and the questions with like-minded people and with people that have different opinions. Like, we all come from different backgrounds and different places, and we're all in different parts of our life, and it was just really interesting to see what everybody else thought. I've done this chat with people that were older than me, people that were younger, so it was all very interesting to just be a part of it. And I think that was the part that really stood out to me, just the amount of difference but similarities in all of us.
I like what you said there. So my name is Sam, or Samantha, for those that don't know me. We have a very similar name. This is my second year on Global Student Chat. I'm a grade 12 student. I'm from Ontario, Canada. So a moment that stood out to me was actually a very specific moment in time I remember. It was in December of 2024. For those that don't know, we talked about technology, and we were most so kind of delving into social media because obviously they go hand in hand these days. And we were just talking about how social media has a negative connotation towards it. Because, for example, for those that don't know, at our school, iPhones were banned because students were, just not focusing in school, going on the phone, going on TikTok, which is really skyrocketed in terms of popularity. So although there is a negative connotation towards it, I remember there's a guest speaker there, and she brought up a really positive side of social media specifically. And this was about how it's a very strong and useful marketing tool when it comes to small businesses. And that moment we realized how important that is to actually consider. For example, I work for a small business. It's called B-Ballers Academy, and it has thousands of followers there. And B-Ballers, the place I work for, spends $0 in marketing because all its marketing is on this Instagram page. I've even asked the players that go there, like whenever it's for a trial or just in general, I'm like, oh, how did you hear about B-Ballers? Like, oh, my mom saw it on the internet. And I'm like, okay, that means that you literally saw it on social media and that brought you into here. So I feel like although technology can, make students focus, kind of deplete, including myself, I feel like there's also a really positive side about it that isn't talked about enough.
I completely agree with everything that Sam and Samantha said. Hi, everyone. My name is Eunice, and I joined Global Ed during the peak of COVID, let's say 2020, 2021. And it's so great to be back. And I think one thing that really stood out to me was that as a really young student and an environment where I barely had any leadership and I just newly joined one, something that stood out to me was how much my voice was able to be heard by everybody else, including our student leads and our teacher leads. And I saw so many new and different perspectives when we came up with our topics and chose our questions. But I think some things that stood out to me the most was when we had experts on the panel, and it was just really eye-opening to another world another world of thoughts that I just didn't think about before.
Indeed, we've learned a lot, different opinions, how we all are different, but similar in different ways. And of course, when we delve deeper into it, we've learned about the importance of tech for good and how all of us' voices are unique, but they matter. And of course, learning from experts is the cherry on the cake. Well, moving ahead, we've covered many topics. One of them that Samantha mentioned was about social media over the past 8 years. Well, let's see a few, videos about what topics have we highlighted on this chat. Indeed, so that sums it all up, that we've been able to explore so many topics. And in this way, been able to learn with each other. And of course, when you're knowing about something new, you do get an inclination towards it if you're interested towards that topic. So we must be passionate about something as well. So what topic are you passionate about, and how do you hope to pursue that passion in the future?
I think I can take this one on. I just want to start by saying that was a really cool video, just to summarize all the topics from the years that we've been a part of this and the previous years before that, which is really nice to look at. Something that really sparked my interest has always been the topics about technology and engineering. I've always been a very hands-on person since I was a kid, building Legos and robots around my house, deconstructing everything I can and making it my own way, because I'm very passionate about engineering, which is why I plan to pursue engineering in my undergraduate degree after this year. However, the specific type of technology that I want to focus on is preferably sustainable technology and technology that can directly impact humans. What I mean by this is prosthetics. I see, around the world in places where I'm from too, in parts of India, every time I go back home, you see people who are not as fortunate, who have lost limbs, who don't have legs and arms. And I feel like if I'm able to pursue my passion of engineering and build technology hands-on while also directly impacting and improving the lives of these people, I would be more than fulfilled in every possible way imaginable. I'll be fulfilled, mentally, because I'm helping people and I know that what I'm doing is directly impacting people, and it will pursue my passion of working with other people and collaborating to build technology that will improve our world's kindness and how we all come together to help people.
So I'm also very passionate about hands-on activities, but more specifically when it comes to sports. So in March, we talked about, or the topic was shaping lives through sports. And this is something that really connects to me because I've been passionate about it since I was about 4 years old. Me and Rebecca's mother put us in dance, swimming, basketball, soccer, and most recently, ultimate frisbee. And all these things have made me realize, or actually specifically that chat in March made me realize how much of an impact sports actually has had on my life. Like it perfectly meets with the topic. For example, swimming taught me how to be independent. Dance taught me how to connect to people on an emotional level without having to speak to others. And basketball taught me so much about teamwork. Just these little things have added on to all of my characteristics and my personality, who I am today. I feel like that's really important. And in the future, in university in September, I plan to join as many teams as I can while balancing school, of course. But I just love being surrounded by other students who are passionate about what I'm passionate about, which is exactly what Global Student Chat is all about as well. Also, I plan to hopefully put my kids in sports as well, because I see how much of a positive impact it's had on me, and I want my kids to be able to kind of experience the same thing.
Well, you really highlighted passion and empathy together. That's amazing. Talking about myself, well, I'm deeply passionate about gaming and esports, not just as a player, but as a change maker, like as a proud global teacher named by BET and Global Student Prize and the official Minecraft Student Ambassador by Microsoft. I've been able to spend the last 6 years bringing my own motto, each one, teach 10 to life. Through this, I've designed and delivered 500 plus lessons, as well as free workshops for over 20,000 teachers and students across the globe. So I've been able to, understand and live through that deeply. So what drives me is the belief that games aren't just for entertainment. They're tools to raise awareness, solve problems, at the same time inspire action. I've been able to use game-based learning integrated with STEM to address real-world issues like gender equality, climate change, and to access of education that is having quality. So to take this passion forward, I plan to pursue a bachelor's in information technology, which will equip me with deeper skills in AI, coding, and game development. So my ultimate goal to become an entrepreneur who builds socially impactful educational games and edtech platforms that blends creativity, coding, and compassion can be fulfilled. And through my podcast as well, each one teaches an amazing world of STEM. I've already been amplifying voices and ideas globally. So through all of the work and through all the knowledge I can gain from amazing professors, I envision a future that creates opportunities, making tech more inclusive and accessible for all, and making it fun through games. Well, moving on to our next question. When adults talk about social media, it is often in a negative light. So, how has Global Student Chat shown you something different?
I don't mind starting this one off. So, hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. I joined this chat in 2021, so I got to see it through its adjusting period of when we were figuring out if we were in person or online through COVID, and I'm just so grateful to be here today for our last chat. So, to answer this question, Global Student Chat has shown me that the negative perception many adults have about social media often comes from not being exposed to the positive educational and community building aspects that younger users regularly get to experience. So while social media can easily be misused, this chat is a perfect example of a positive social media platform. Global Student Chat shows us how social media is used to educate others while giving students creative liberty to learn and grow and share their opinions with others to continuing fostering ideas. Adults who have not grown up around tech in the way that this generation has may not know of these resources that can help them find platforms like ours, and general social media with fad trends on apps like TikTok and social media like Instagram. I know Snapchat has Reels now as well, and etc. are more prominently advertised in the public, allowing adults to believe that that is all there is to social media, perceiving it as a silly distraction that causes a phone addiction as opposed to seeing resources like ours.
Rebecca, I could have not said it any better. Personally, I think that social media honestly just has such a terrible reputation, especially nowadays, when all it's portraying is so many negative thoughts that could negatively influence one's children. But like Rebecca said, our Instagram page is a perfect positive space for learning experiences and getting involved with the community in a positive way. So if anybody looked at our Instagram, I know one of our posts was about digital footprint. Another one was about we have different themes for different months. So I really think that a positive environment on social media is what parents usually look for, but there's not much of that anymore. So as I agree with parents, yes, there's a lot of negative sides to social media, but Global Student Chat showed me that social media can be used in such a good way for learning and spreading awareness. And I'm just so thankful that I got to be a part of that. And now that we get to talk about a positive impact that social media has, I think parents can maybe use social media as more of a learning experience instead of something that can be so negatively impacting.
I totally agree with both of you. And to add to it, Global Student Chat showed me that social media isn't the problem, how we use it is the problem. While many adults view social media as a source of distraction or negativity, I've learned through my experiences at the DITSIT Institute and the Global Student Chat that tech is a powerful tool for good. Through Tech for Good, we can harness media making apps to create content that educates and empowers others. So whether it's through short films, through podcasts, or through inspiring digital arts, these tools let us express empathy, raise awareness, and share hope together. But I've also understood at the same time that there's another side to it, where we have misinformation, AI-generated deepfake, cyberbullying. That's why I believe in digital literacy and responsible media consumption, which has been highlighted at the chat many times to raise awareness. So this chat ultimately taught me the true power of social media lies in the stories that we choose to tell and the communities that we all can build together. So, and when we're using tech for good, we can make internet a place that is filled with shared growth, kindness, and belonging. And to add to that, we have a great. Okay, I think Sam and Kabir wants to say something before we add the video.
Just before the video, yeah, I just wanted to say, parallel what Sam was saying earlier, she was talking about how we had a speaker before who was highlighting the good parts about social media compared to the bad parts. And I remember one point that she had was that it keeps us interconnected in parts of the world that we wouldn't have normally been connected to. For example, less fortunate parts of the world, or parts of the world that are considered third world countries, which is not a word we use anymore, but it used to be used in the past. We can see how they're able to bring light to their countries and exposure to their countries and their what's the word I'm looking for? Their foundations to support their country by using the media as a way to show off what they need and how the world can help them. And social media has provided a loophole for these countries to gain donations, to start nonprofits, foundations, FundMe pages, which can support these countries.
Indeed. Well, let's have the video.
I definitely knew when I was getting myself into social media that it was a way to connect with people. But I always thought it was just like a way to connect with your friends or your family. It's so cool how what I thought was just a place to mess around with your friends is now like a way that we all learn and we share and we communicate.
Totally. Going from social media to tech for good to climate change to inclusiveness, we've talked about a lot of things. And we often, brought an expert on panel to challenge our thinking. So can you recall a favorite expert or something that you learned from that expert? If I take this forward first, yes, Dr. Mary Alice Curran will always hold a special place in my heart. She's not just an expert I've learned from, I call her my American mom, a true mentor who has shaped my journey through the DITSIT Institute and beyond. Through her, I was able to discover the 5 pillars of DITSIT and what it means to be an impactor. And Mr. Michael Rezick would agree to it as we were able to work together under her guidance for making the Rube Goldberg machine that highlights the pillars. She totally taught us, and me in particular, that inclusion isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life. Inclusion means every single person, regardless of their ability, background, or age, should feel a sense of belonging. Either it's in the school or out of the school. It's ensuring that I see myself in this space, that things matter to me and are present and honored. One of her most powerful lessons during that chat was about accessibility. She said something that really stayed with me. If you're not leading with accessibility, then we're not talking about being inclusive at all. That changed the way I see everything, from digital tools I design and the way I interact with others. So it's not just about including people, it's about designing for everyone from the start. She also reminded us that when you know better, you do better. And that is the essence of being a global citizen, constantly learning, unlearning, and striving to be more aware, compassionate, and responsible. So she didn't just challenge my thinking, she awakened it. And because of her, I don't just use digital tools, I use them to build bridges, to make education more inclusive, and to be able to give my bit to amplify unheard voices. So my gratitude goes to her.
Well, as generic as it might sound, the expert who stood out to me was Miss Jane G in our last chat. What made her different to me was the fact that she wasn't, using flash data or some dramatic claims, but it was more about how she brought a unique but somehow grounded perspective, ones that we often overlook around sustainability. She reminded us that our solutions don't always need to be complex, to have an impact. And sometimes the most effective ideas, the most powerful ideas come from, well, returning to simple and thoughtful practices. And that changed how I think about sustainability because, well, now I think of it as not a far off and a global task, but as something that can be built into our daily choices in small and intentional ways. And also the fact that although we talk about innovation a lot, sometimes when we create an innovation, we're also looking for an unnecessary problem. We need to address what's already out there instead of first creating something and then looking for a problem that fits the solution. So that's what stood out to me.
Absolutely. All of us have learned a lot from the experts on panel, and that's something I would really miss a lot since it's the last chat. But anyways, in what way did the process of developing topics, questions, and then having the chance to speak about them challenge you or support your skill development?
Yeah, I'll go first for this one. Hi, everyone. I'm Anahit. I was sitting in the exact same spot as Samantha and Kabir. I started the Global Education Student Chat when I was in grade 11, and now I'm graduating from the University of Toronto next month. So it's a great moment to be back here. I think, firstly, I want to say that the chat was in many ways ahead of its time. We were talking about topics like social media voices and accessibility, and these topics became ever more prevalent after the COVID-19 pandemic. In terms of the skills that it gave me, it got me comfortable in this online discussion forum, which I started university when we were all online, and a lot of my classmates were all over the world. So that was really interesting because I was already used to a format like that, talking to and discussing topics with people around the globe. In my work, I realized how important it was to connect with people on social media. It really helped advance my career, and talking to people about the fields that I was interested in. Social media had a really large role to play in that. Overall, I think it's just it has served a really great resource for students to talk in a forum like this, to be able to articulate their own thoughts, to listen to others. It's certainly useful in post-secondary education, and of course in the workplace as well. So just want to commend you all for being part of this amazing initiative, and thank you for having me back for this chat.
Yeah, I think Anahit put that across very articulately. And just like she mentioned, I think Global Student Chat is not like your typical panel discussion where you're given a topic and you need to speak about it. It's completely student driven. That is, we identify what topics actually matter. We discuss what questions are important, what need to be asked. We discuss the different topics which may require attention every year, like Digital Citizenship Day. And then we have the power to set the tone by asking the questions and driving the conversation. And I can say that it's not always a very smooth process. You need to challenge your brains a bit. Like, I remember when we had to select one topic, it was Google versus libraries or smartphone versus smart people. And it was all about identifying what's most relevant to kids today. And we went ahead with the latter. Or when you're framing the questions, we see the ones which actually spark curiosity and help people to reflect, and not just the one which have objective answers like yes or no. And talking about a big challenge I initially faced, it was keeping my answers short, and I still face that problem today, because whenever I'm speaking, my aim is to best express what I'm thinking. But then I noticed that people might zone out, and I reflected upon that, and then in future chats, as time passed by, I was able to better articulate my opinions, hopefully. And speaking about the 21st century skills, communication, building on each other's ideas and respectfully disagreeing, that's a very important thing that you need to have. But we have like critical thinking, creativity, and information literacy. All of them comes together when we are thinking of topics or questions that we need to ask. And then collaboration and global citizenship. I think the snapshot of this entire panel is a living example of those particular skills being nurtured. So yes, I think I've learned a lot again.
For those of you who don't know me, my name's AJ. This is my first year on Global Student Chat. I'm joining from Wrangell Middle School. This has definitely challenged me to think of questions, because I haven't been a question person at all in my life, and developing skills wise, it helped me write my essay on my book, because my teacher has strict formats and everything, and this has definitely developed my skills in my brain to think of questions.
I always found it was a struggle for me to come up with questions when we first started the process for how we come up with our topics and how we come up for our questions. And it was always good to have everybody else on panel to. They started making questions, and as I read them, it made me finally realize and kind of get into the flow of things, and it made it a lot easier. So, and I found that even in my classes and things, I'm a lot better at building off of what other people bring up. And it's helped me realize a lot of things just about myself. And then again, when we go to chat about it live, I almost never prepared anything beforehand. I always wanted to, and then I just never actually did it. And I feel like always just coming into it and just speaking from off the top of my head and building off of what everybody else says. It was always just interesting to me how much we bring up between making our questions and what we say live as our answers. It's helped me develop skills just by like being able to come up with stuff right off the bat, right? Like it clearly I could get better at it. It's been a while since I've been a part of one of the chats, so it's nice to be back for one last one.
I just wanted to add, I feel like it's a really good thing that you didn't prepare answers after we created questions, because you need that in the workplace, because there's kind of two parts to what we do here at Global Student Chat. To make questions is extremely important. For example, in the world when you have interviews, you know that employer is always going to ask you, do you have any questions? And it's a really good idea for you to think of those questions on the spot and, you know, ask them so that you seem interested, which is a skill that we learned here. But then also you get to, I guess, because, you know, you don't prepare anything, you forget the question. So when you get here, it's almost like it's your first time hearing this question. And then you get to answer and think on your feet. And I feel like this develops skills that are necessary in anywhere that you go.
And just to add to what Sam said, I found that as we started the chat, I used to prepare a lot more for the questions, and that actually negatively affected me, because when we look back at those chats, I was a lot more robotic than when I actually think about the answers myself and bounce off of what other people say. So I think that it may not have been a poor thing for you to not prepare for the questions.
Yeah, this is all great. I just wanted to add, I mean, in a university setting, I studied political science, so a lot of that is dialogue, right? And when you would go into a seminar class, a big chunk of your grade was participation, and you would sit in a circle and you would discuss a similar format that I had practiced with discussing. And you can't really anticipate what people are going to say or what they thought of an article or the book. So it was just a great experience to be able to practice that. And then you also mentioned, all of you mentioned about the spontaneity of it and why it's great to be able to participate in a spontaneous chat. That's kind of how in more of a professional setting, coffee chats go, right? You have all these questions that you want to ask someone about themselves, about their career, and then they'll tell you information. And the conversation doesn't flow when you're kind of interviewing the person with a list of questions. It flows better when you're having a conversation, when you're authentically and genuinely reacting to what they're saying and going off of that. So yeah, it's great that you all brought that up.
Well, let's talk about the legacy of the Global Student Chat. It was co-founded by Ms. Jennifer Casatord and Lee Castle in 2017 with a mission to connect K-12 students around the world to discuss topics and questions related to character education, social justice, and citizenship. The goal was to create opportunities for students to network with others, gain perspectives, and build relationships with their peers in a literacy-rich learning environment, as well as experience social media as a powerful platform for learning. Now, this is my question to our adult mentors. In what way has this chat impacted you as an adult mentor?
Okay, I'll try to start without falling apart. I am so grateful for all of you. The conversation, as always, has been wonderful. And it's amazing to see how grown up so many of you are. When Lee and I first decided we were going to start a chat, it was only Ontario. We pulled students from the Avon Maitland School Board, and I pulled Erin Kim from Cardinal Carter, and we just began. And slowly over time, it has become this over 8 years. Initially, both of our passion was to show kids and adults something different, to be able to leverage social media positively and productively, to open up our perspectives, to really connect with others and learn about others in a way that social media was designed to be. And fast forward, over time, we had Brock Baker, who is joining us. He's in Europe right now, joining us on YouTube. So thank you, Brock, for all that you did. We had Allison Fuse for a few years. We had Kathy Lott join us. Michael, you've been here. I'll let you speak in a few minutes over time for a long, long time. And then most recently, we had Laura Davies join us. So our role and our sort of when I was thinking about this chat, initially, we sort of took on a bigger part than we really wanted. And over time, we wanted to let all of the leadership go. We made sure that during our developing questions, that the students developed the questions. We made sure that when we were discussing topics, that we talked about what good questions look like. And so to hear all of you say how much those skills have impacted you has been really wonderful. Michael, why don't you jump in now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, I share the same sentiments as Jennifer. I didn't know what I was saying yes to. I was passionate about student voice. I was trying to model these things in my own little school community, and living in your own little bubble. I don't think you really truly understand the power of connection. It was on ed student chat. And I think, everybody here in this space and everybody that's had their hands in this work, students, adults, experts, everybody has really put the global, to true meaning and impact. And there's been a ripple effect of good. And I guess what I'm getting at is I'm glad I said yes. And I'm glad those planning meetings and those hours that you're on the computer just listening and sharing perspectives and trying to hash out what a good chat can look like. That was the real, the joy. There was joy in that. And then, to see it come to fruition on a Tuesday at 1 p.m., going into the unknown. What was this going to look like and sound like? And then just to sit back as the adult behind the scenes and be able to just learn from what the students say. I know, in a school day, there's a lot of talking and, what does your school day look like? It's a lot of adult sharing sometimes. And this chat really got to the heart of, student chat and student voice, and it's made me better. So, hey, Brock, how's it going? Nice to. I'm just grateful to be a part of it. That's really what I've got, and I'm glad that everything lives on YouTube and on the website, and will be. And I hope that teachers will use these experiences and to go into the archives and spend some time listening with what you all have shared through the years.
Absolutely.
You want to answer?
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me in. It's great to be here. And yeah, as Jen was saying, I'm in Europe now and been here for 6 years, but I still am on the email threads. I still get to kind of longingly hope I can be part of some of those planning meetings. I have checked out a bunch of the videos, and it's just been amazing to see the growth of the chat and continually the amazing amount of leaders that have come through. The students, you're amazing. It's incredible. Sam, you're all grown up. You're a big man now. It's been a while. I had to go back and look at the archives and go, is that the same guy? And it's awesome to see. It was frightening to see myself 7 years ago, but it's crazy. And I just wanted to congratulate everybody. Michael, Jen, You guys are amazing, my heroes, and congrats. It's been quite a journey, and I'm so glad I could be here at the end.
Oh, we're so excited you're here. I have it together. I do want to say to the student leaders, continue to use your voice for good and for change. It has been such an honor to be able to amplify your voices during this chat. This really was truly what it was all about for me. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll miss waking up early at 5 a.m. just for the chat. Anyways, but thank you so much for all these lovely comments. And we all will miss being part of this amazing initiative that in one way or the other has helped all of us to become more confident and to be able to express our thoughts, value each other's thoughts, and, of course, work together as a very powerful group, as I must say. Moving on to our last question for this chat. If you could describe your time in the Global Student Chat in a single word or phrase, what would it be?
Transformational.
Empowering.
Connected.
The making of who I am.
Student voice.
Inspiring.
Magical.
Opportunities.
Amazing.
Ideas that mounted on wings of grace. Well, I think that's all. Okay.
I would say change. That would be my word, change. Change for good.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for that, Miss. If you'd like to go ahead. You just got to unmute, Miss.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. All of our live chats, as Michael said, have been archived. There are so many wonderful conversation points for you to, showcase student leaders sharing with one another from all over the world as a starting point for your own class conversation. So please do go to youtube.com/globalstudentchat and check out some of those videos. And thank you to everyone, students, facilitators, guests, experts, all of you who have been a part of this chat for the past 8 years. We truly value you. Thank you so much. Bye.